Straight ahead, a 12 News special, Making the Grade, featuring standout students we've met during the past school year.
I don't just give a little bit, so I try my hardest in everything that I'm in.
They don't shy away from a challenge.
We have 4,000 lines of code. I think it's 4,092 lines of code in this year's robot.
And they're motivated to go beyond the classroom.
We're combating food injustice.
They are making the grade, next on 12 News. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a 12 News special, Making the Grade, a look at some of the standout students that we have met in the past year.
As families celebrate graduations and look forward to the next part of a student's life, it's also a good time to see how standout students got where they are. Most of the standout students we've featured are extremely busy kids who excel at more than one thing. As Delane Cleveland tells us, that's the case with Champlin Park senior Nick Schmidtke.
Of angular velocity and time, you can find the angular acceleration.
Spend a few minutes in AP physics class at Champlin Park High School.
Because there's acceleration, the velocity is changing.
And if you're not familiar with the subject, it can almost sound like a foreign language.
Angular velocity is changing angular position per time.
Yet that's not the case for senior Nick Schmidtke. This class is one of his favorites.
I'd say math and science kind of are. They definitely, they're set, structured classes where you know, a certain answer and everything with that.
This aspiring engineer carries a 4.2 GPA and a dedication to academics.
I take a lot of AP, IB, and honors classes.
And yes, he takes the hardest classes Champlin Park has to offer.
The reason for that is just so then I can get so far ahead. And then in college, I'll have all these credits done. I'll be able to start as a sophomore.
His teachers rave about his work ethic.
Nick, planning to go into engineering, has really, grabbed onto that material and really embraced it. It's challenging course material. He works really hard to be successful.
That's not the only area where Nick works hard to be successful.
Nick Schmidtke getting it up the wing.
He's also the captain of the Champlin Park hockey team.
No time to panic, just relax, get your team together.
Assistant captain of the soccer team, and academically...
Cross that out. That's supposed to be acceleration.
He's ranked number 2 overall in his senior class.
His ability to really maintain that balance is definitely refreshing as he focuses and is prepared to be successful in both arenas.
Meantime, Nick says defying the stereotype people have about student athletes is a sense of pride.
I try to be a role model to younger players and everything, saying that it is possible to not only be a leader in your sports, but also a leader in the classroom as well.
In Brooklyn Park, Delane Cleveland, 12 News.
Engineers speak their own language, and then there's true foreign language immersion.
As Shannon Slatton reports now, it's something Armstrong senior Kelsey Sather has embraced.
When it comes to Spanish immersion,
Las personas del pueblo.
this advanced placement Spanish literature and culture class at Armstrong is as tough as it gets.
It's very rigorous. It is comparable to a level 300 course at the college level.
Segundo.
One senior who has been a Spanish immersion student since day one.
She's dedicated herself to 13 years of studying Spanish. She's amazing.
Estamos este pintura total vez.
She stands out.
Okay.
And not just because 17-year-old Kelsey Sather is ranked at the top of Armstrong's senior class.
She's a delight.
Un cuadro.
She makes things fun. This is challenging, but she never complains.
But challenging herself is something Kelsey doesn't hesitate to do.
I give my all to all my things. I don't just give a little bit, so I try my hardest in everything that I'm in.
And it shows. She's captain of her team in 3 sports.
It shows my leadership, and I'm a good leader of the team, and even from a young age, I came up being confident.
Even when she's outrunning the competition, Kelsey manages her rigorous schedule with calm confidence.
It definitely gives me a little bit of pressure in all my classes, but I never feel too stressed out about anything. I can always get things done.
That good attitude shows with her teachers and with her peers.
She encourages everybody. She's a nice person and a really hard worker.
In Plymouth, Shannon Slatton, 12 News.
Lots of standout students can ace a tough test, but it's really something when that test is a college entrance exam.
We met 2 students this year who received the highest score possible on the ACT test. One is junior Sarah White of Providence Academy. It is rare to get a perfect score. Less than 1/10 of 1% of students who take the ACT earn the top mark. Sometimes it's just understanding the question.
It was harder to get the science portion because there's a lot of stuff that you have to read and process all the information, and you have to figure out what not to process also.
Another perfect ACT was turned in by a Cooper sophomore. In calculus class, Min-Young Choi is a problem solver.
I sort of just enjoy solving a problem and just having like a set answer. You end up going through the process and finding the correct answer.
His counselor says it's almost unheard of for a sophomore to turn in a perfect ACT.
That is pretty neat, and good grades and high achievement are important, but it's not always everything for a well-rounded student.
When volunteering at a local food shelf sparked a classroom conversation about hunger, it led junior Shivani Nookala to take action.
The nice thing about these is they're really healthy right now. They're just beautiful.
There's good reason 17-year-old Shivani Nookala beams when talking about the tomato plants growing inside the Breck School.
Yeah, I definitely feel very proud looking at this. Definitely a proud parent moment. It's great to see this.
In giving life to healthy produce, this junior is also taking on food insecurity with a school-wide program called the Garden Project.
We're combating food injustice. So the idea that everyone should have the equal right to not just food, but healthy and culturally relevant food.
From the early seeds to the leafy greens, the indoor gardening happening here will benefit a local food shelf, not only with produce, but also by giving the plants to families in need for a sustained food supply.
We'll put this tomato plant, a basil plant, and a marigold plant, as well as instructions to kind of just easily hand it off to a food shelf or a food shelf client.
She has a passion for learning. She has a passion for making a difference in life, and her learning is directed towards that purpose.
Breck's Director of Servant Leadership says Shivani's leadership in the Garden Project is rooted in her drive to help others.
She embodies what servant leadership is about, where you're using your talents to bring out the best in others, and that is Shivani times 10.
By planting seeds with her younger classmates, Shivani ensures that this project lives and grows on for others.
Kind of start a ripple effect.
Coming up, applying math and science in a real-life way.
We're going robotic as Making the Grade continues. Hello everyone and welcome back to Making the Grade, a look at some of the standout students we've featured in the Northwest Metro here in the past year.
For some students, there is nothing like finding a use for math and science outside the classroom. For senior Alex Kafer from Maple Grove High School, that means building and programming robots.
So last year, basically what we did was we just had this giant catapult.
This robot that Alex Kafer helped program can launch a ball high into the air.
There's just a computer in the middle. It's a very small computer. It's this guy right there.
Talking to this 17-year-old Maple Grove junior, you can see he has the right skill set to soar.
He exemplifies all the sorts of things that we look for in a robotics student. He's extraordinarily intelligent. But he's also very personable. He can communicate with other team members.
A straight-A student, Alex started learning computer programming on his own at the age of 10. Those skills paid off this year at the first robotics competition. Alex and the Maple Grove Crimson team designed and built a robot able to stack up recycling containers. And they beat out 63 other teams to advance to the World Championships.
And this is your World Series of baseball. It's pretty much as high as you can get.
It's an impressive feat when you consider that each movement and action the robot performs is a line of computer code that Alex and his team wrote.
We have 4,000 lines of code. I think it's 4,092 lines of code in this year's robot.
His efforts have also put Alex in the running as a finalist for the prestigious First Robotics Dean's List Award.
10 students in the world will ultimately be chosen as model robotics students.
For Alex, robotics is a real-life way to apply math and science knowledge. And he says his passion for programming simply comes down to this.
Yeah, having the control over things. It was just like, it can say, do this, and it does it. You're just like, I have authority.
Robotics coach Eric Malm sees Alex's skills as ones that can help the world.
We've got energy problems, we've got global warming, and it takes kids who are really gifted in STEM fields in science and engineering and math to be able to solve those sorts of problems. And Alex is the sort of kid who can go on and make a difference in the world.
More than it does.
Still ahead, a look at how some students are jumping right into college before leaving high school.
And then later, you can't argue with success. We'll take a look at that. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Making the Grade. Most of the standout students we've met are busy young people with many talents.
Like Noah Ford from Maranatha Christian Academy. Sonia Goins has more on that.
Noah Ford has been tickling the ivory since he was 5 years old.
Mostly I like to play more modern music.
He's also a very good soccer player.
It was a wonderful last season. We had a great coach, a great team.
Noah was named All-Conference and MVP of the varsity team.
Our program is getting better really quickly.
He's also book smart.
So you put the 3 in for the Y.
Noah's GPA is above 4.0.
B minus A over N.
He's not in college yet, but he already has 40 college credits under his belt.
And this year I'm taking AP Lang and AP Calc. So N equals
The class valedictorian is a role model for his classmates.
You could say he has a swag, as well as just being stellar in his academics and a great leader at the school.
Minus 21x.
Noah wants to pursue a career as an electrical engineer.
When I was younger, I would always want to build racetracks, build catapults.
In 10 years, he wants to be a successful business owner.
I would love to just help assemble a dream team and come up with something awesome.
But Noah's passion is backpacking.
One of the best times on the trail was when we hiked up to the top of Eagle Mountain.
He's tracked more than 260 miles of trails.
And you can see the lake over on one side, a river snaking through, and it's just gorgeous.
From Duluth to Canada.
You're definitely not comfortable on these trips. It might be raining, it might be cold, you might have blistered feet.
He says the rigorous trails have prepared him for life.
It just makes you better and it prepares you for harder things in life. And when you can push through that and then you get to the end and you realize how accomplished you feel, it makes you less afraid of what can come against you.
In Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, 12 News.
From students involved in robotics to students starting community volunteering projects, today's teenagers are taking on more things than ever. Alexandra joins us now with a conversation with a school counselor about the rigors of education. Alex?
I am joined by a man who has worked in college admissions and is currently the director of college counseling at the Breck School. Johnny Nicholson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we've seen all these stories of students doing extraordinary things, but give us a snapshot of what it looks like to be a high school student in this day and age preparing for the next step. Even if you're not a senior, maybe early on, what does it look like to be a high school student today?
There are so many choices, and it feels like there's so much pressure on them nowadays. In order to find that right ticket, to get that right job, and to land that right career, there's a lot of pressure, and it backs up, and it starts right now for students, trying to really investigate as a freshman, sophomore, what I'm interested in, and what do I want to pursue, what do I want to try. Hopefully by the time I'm a junior or a senior, I've found it.
Knowing that every student's path is different, certainly for many it's college, but there are also other ways to get technical experience, get right into the workforce, and start down that career path. What would you say is the most important thing for parents and teachers to know in this day and age for preparedness? What looks different today than, say, 5-10 years ago?
I like what you said about finding that right path. Each student has their own path, and parents could help their children out by encouraging them to broaden their experiences, to investigate. And one interest may lead to another. So what they're doing now may not be what they're doing in 2 years, 4 years, or even 20 years down the road.
Do they have to know earlier on, too, what they want to pursue? Is it, in my day and age, it was going to college. That was the next step. But in this day and age, it almost sounds like you have to know what you want to do beyond college or beyond high school.
Right. And parents, they're thinking about jobs. Will my child find a job? Will they find that career? And it does happen now. We do encourage our students to experience a wider range of classes, activities, experiences, and that will inform them down the road.
In the last few seconds here, Johnny, well-rounded, is that the #1 attribute, or is there something else right now that you would say colleges and employers are looking for?
It's really about that student finding their interests and pursuing them. And for some, that is getting involved in a wide array of activities or involvements. With others, it's that one pursuit, and they're going to drive it home. And they're going to do that with all of their free time.
Johnny Nicholson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, thank you, Alex. Still ahead on Making the Grade, we'll try keeping up with these two debaters. We'll be right back. Success in high school debate requires preparation, knowledge, passion, the ability to confidently argue your point, and to speak really, really fast.
That's right. We featured 2 standout students from Wayzata who excelled in all those areas, as Delane Cleveland reports.
So, hey everybody. At Wayzata High School in Plymouth, seniors Tiffany Haas and Kate Gehling are well-rounded students.
I'm currently the student body vice president. I was a varsity swimmer freshman year. I am in the string orchestra. I'm in Link Crew, which helps orient freshmen each year. I tutor some students after school, and I'm also pretty involved in my church.
You want to use that room?
But get these two into debate class.
Right now in the status quo, we don't have tariffs. We just need to have ships and able to move our goods places, which the affirmative allows.
And your mind better be ready to keep up.
First, on the shipping advantage, status quo efficiencies and regulations on emissions are creating increased costs in shipping, causing decline. Nuclear shipping is the only solution guaranteed. Increasing capacity and efficiency. The 3 Trillium's economic first is all food prices drug countries the last offer supply. Second is economy the royal.
When these two go about arguing their points.
Each speech only has like a set amount of time, so you want to be able to get as many arguments out as possible. And there's a stronger chance that your opponent doesn't hear one of the arguments if you're talking quicker. This is kind of a sneaky trick.
And so we do lots of practice debates and practice speeches each week.
They've become so good at their craft
Say that we destroy the environment. However, first, there's no impact to nuclear.
that Tiffany and Kate are currently the #1 ranked debate team in the entire nation.
And it's still like so surreal that we managed to do it. We're winning tournaments, making it to final rounds of tournaments.
And I think it's really exciting just because of the hard work that it takes.
Hard work that requires hours of research and practice.
It takes a lot more work, I think, than a lot of other activities I'm in, and it's also more rewarding.
You know, I've always enjoyed writing, research, and just kind of the academia behind it.
Their debate coach calls them an asset for reasons beyond their individual success.
They often are judging debates for some of our younger debaters. They're doing research that helps the entire team, so they provide a lot of leadership and input.
Both say they're considering future careers in law.
The sky's the limit in terms of their abilities as professionals and leaders in the community.
More than 30 local students have shared their stories of success with us since last September. And of course, we couldn't fit all those stories in this show.
But congratulations to all those students as many move on to the next step with graduation. Thanks for joining us, everyone.